Do you know how the LEGO Nintendo Entertainment System works? Why does the game screen scroll when you turn the crank on the right side of the TV? And how can Mario actually jump within it? How is it achieved that the crank can only rotate in the forward direction but not in the reverse direction? How does the simulated sound come out when turning the turning knob on the upper right corner of the TV? And what about the ingenious design behind the most crucial pop-up cartridge slot? You can insert the cartridge with one press and eject it with another press. In this video, we will conduct a comprehensive review of this LEGO set that is already 5 years old. The LEGO Set 71374 Nintendo Entertainment System, which is out of print but still available for purchase. Let's take a look at the linkage principle of the game pack pop-up cartridge slot here. The entire device mainly consists of a slot module, a latch module, a 3-stage ramp module, and 2 shock absorbers. The 2 shock absorbers provide upward elastic force for the slot module. Furthermore, we can see the latch module composed of the connecting part numbered 63869 and the axle part numbered 24316. It can move smoothly back and forth on the axle guide rail of the slot module. And the key 3 stages ramp structure can precisely drive the latch module to complete the predetermined action events during the pressing process. It is worth noting that there is a buckle structure with an inverse slope on the numbered 2 ramp, which is also a very crucial structure. For event 1, when the slot module is open, we press down the slot. At this time, the inclined plane of ramp numbered 1 abuts against the latch module, thereby driving the latch module to move forward to the frontmost end of the ramp. And most crucially, the axle extending from the latch module can be seen to have already entered ramp numbered 2 at this moment. For event 2, when we release the slot module, the entire slot module will rotate upwards under the elastic force of the 2 shock absorbers. That is to say, it drives the entire latch module to move upward together. Since the inclined plane of the ramp numbered 2 abouts against the axle on the latch module, the entire latch module will move forward again until it is blocked by the buckle structure with the inverse slope. Then the locking operation is completed. Notice that at this moment, the latch module has also entered ramp numbered 3. What follows is event 3, that is, pressing down the slot module again. At this time, the inclined plane of ramp numbered 3 abouts against the latch module, which means driving the entire latch module to move forward continuously. The key point is that at this moment, the axle part on the latch module will cross over the inverse slope of ramp numbered 2. For the final event 4, that is releasing the slot module again. At that time, there will be no obstruction for the latch module anymore, so it can be opened smoothly. And under the influence of gravity, the latch module will slide to its initial position, ready to enter the next cycle. As you can see, this is actually a structural solution somewhat similar to the push-button switch of a ballpoint pen. Among them, the positions and angles of the 2 inclined planes of ramp numbered 2 are crucial design points of the entire solution. You can see that LEGO has employed the snap method here to adjust the front and rear positions of this module. That is, you can see these 2 green parts inside. In addition, through the rotation of the entire module and the abutment of some other surrounding parts, its accurate angle can be fixed. And through our continuous testing, we can see that the operation of the air device is indeed very stable and reliable. Let's take a look at the linkage structure of the Scrollable game screen here. After the manual power comes in from the hand-cranked crank, it passes 3 8-tooth gears, 3 16-tooth gears, and a set of 12 to 12 gear set, and finally reaches this vertical axle. In this linkage structure, you can see that there is a branch in the middle, which is connected to a ratchet structure to achieve the linkage effect that the hand-cranked crank can only rotate in one direction. And right here in the middle, we can also see a total of 6 rubber rollers, which are used to help reduce the rolling resistance of the screen. Here, you can see that the entire game screen module is actually equivalent to a huge tank track. And it is also driven to operate by such a caterpillar wheel device. One of the groups is the driving wheel, that is the side connected to the vertical axle we mentioned earlier. When we turn the hand-cranked crank, this is the linkage effect. The test shows that it is still very smooth. And for Mario, which can jump up and down in the game screen, a smooth pin is first used to fix the entire module on the left side here. And the transparent disc under Mario is very crucial. During the continuous leftward movement of the game screen, when the protruding parts on the screen surface touch the disc, they are obliquely stressed, so the entire module can be pushed upward, thus creating a linkage effect of jumping up and down. On the TV panel, we can see a sound knob device. The designer created the sound here through the collision of the flexible axle and the gears. The designer has also made a design to limit the rotation range. It can be said that it is indeed very meticulous. At the finished product stage, all the function tests have been carried out and there are no problems. At the top of the TV, we can see that there is a flat brick with a striped sticker hidden inside. This part can be used to interact with the large Vario minifigure from 71360 set, serving as a hidden additional feature of this LEGO set. As for this minifigure, we can see that there is a detection head at the bottom. Then, we can place the minifigure directly above the striped brick. After the minifigure is successfully activated, we move it to the front here. Next, by continuously turning the crank, the minifigure can generate the corresponding display and sound effects. Well, the specific principle is actually that at the top of this screen module, we can see these 2x2 flat bricks in different colors. The corresponding colors can be recognized by the detection head. That's the really simple principle of it. In addition, if you open the cover at back of the game console, you can also find a small Easter egg. So can any viewer tell where this place is? Finally, let's take a look at the packaging. The color box still has the standard black background color for the 18+ sets. You can see information such as the set number and the number of parts in the lower left corner. On the back of the color box, on the basis of the scene picture, it is rather rare to have text introductions in multiple languages added. Below are the partial detail pictures, dimension diagrams, as well as the introduction of the crank operation method. There are a total of 2,646 parts, which are divided into 26 part sub-packages and 21 major steps. On average, there are only a little over 120 parts in each major step, so finding the parts is still really easy. The building instruction manuals are placed in a white envelope bag. There are 2 manuals in total, and together they are more than 1 centimeter thick. One manual is for the assembly of the television set, and the other is for the assembly of the NES. So it can perfectly support to people to carry out the assembly simultaneously. At the beginning of the manual for the NES, there are 4 pages of color illustrations. It's really interesting that LEGO has also made a 1-to-1 reproduction of the color packaging illustration when it was released in 1985. In addition, an introduction to the prototype of the Nintendo Entertainment System has also been included. The manual for the television set has 3 pages of color illustrations. The focus is on the introduction of the games, including several other games that were released along with the NES. The total number of steps in the 2 manuals is 295 steps and 266 steps respectively. The average number of parts per step reaches 4.7 pieces, which seems a bit on the high side. But in fact, it's because this set has some repetitive assembling steps, which has pulled up the average number of parts per step. We can see that in quite a few steps, there is a situation where dozens or even hundreds of parts need to be assembled in just one step. Of course, this is also a somewhat dull part during the assembling process of this set. That also includes the part of the game screen. The average number of parts per step is also a bit on the high side. Looking at the printed part, there are indeed quite a lot of them in this set. Among them, this jumping Mario is also an exclusive part of this set. So LEGO has already included so many printed parts in this set, but in the end, 3 pieces were still left for stickers, which is indeed a bit of a pity. In addition, from step 122 to step 145 of the manual, there is a small bug, but it doesn't affect the assembling process. Okay, then LEGO will officially release the new 18+ set of the Mario series, 72037 Mario Kart, on May 15 this year. We will also bring you an in-depth review at that time. Then please subscribe to our channel. See you next time.